Where is everyone going? Where is everyone going? Like seriously, where is everyone going? I keep seeing all these TikToks of the IAH airport and how the lines are, like 5 hours long. People are getting to the airport at 3:24 a.m. They finally get in line 30 minutes later. They finally get to the back of the line 30 minutes later. They finally make it to the checkpoint 2 hours later. They finally make it to the gate. Then they finally, wait another hour and then they get on their plane. Where is everyone going? I don't understand. Like, I don't think I've ever seen travel this busy. Like it's currently March, right? So school's still in session. School's still in session, and people are like, there's this many people traveling. I could not imagine doing this shit right now. And don't get me wrong, I have my friends Neha Nakash, right? They just had their naming ceremony for their second child. Shout out to them. They have family members flying in and out, right? In and out of Houston. And they recently told me, they flew out of Hobby. They got through TSA line in 5 minutes. So, coming back to okay, so that airport's fine, right? But then this airport over here, this IAH airport where people are flying internationally, if you want to go anywhere, right? If you want to go anywhere decent out of Houston, you have to fly through IAH. You have to, if you want to go to the islands, if you want to go to, let's say, Zambia, maybe you want to go to Turks and Caicos. I think Turks and Caicos you can fly out of Hobby. What's the place I'm thinking of? Trinidad, Trinidad. If you want to go to Trinidad, you know where you got to fly out of? IAH. IAH is that airport. And everything I've been seeing, it's just one long line after the other. I got a quick little paragraph here that I was just going to read to. The ongoing partial government shutdown has led to long security lines at airports across the country, but no airport has felt the effects as acutely as George Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston. On Thursday, wait times at Bush, one of the nation's busiest airports, reached 4 hours or more. As you can tell, I haven't read words on a paper in a while. With lines extending outside its terminals, passengers' volume at Bush expected to get worse this weekend, driven by major events in Houston, including the NCAA men's basketball tournament. The lines are a result of many Transportation Security Administration officers who aren't getting paid during the shutdown, not coming to work. Now, look, I'm not even going to talk about the aspect of the government shutdown piece, because we know that's nonsense, right? We know that they bicker, they do their thing, and then people pay the price. It doesn't matter whether it's a government shutdown. It doesn't matter whether it's war, gas prices. It doesn't matter, right? Whatever happens up there happens. And honestly, let's not even call it up there, right? Because that gives the connotation that it's like, oh, they're superior. But, if we're being honest, but anytime government stuff happens, right? Government people don't pay the price. People pay the price. And then the roundabout effect is that, more than likely that government won't get voted, that government official won't get voted back in the next session or, in the next term. The issue is with something like this, right? The government shutdown, this happens. This just continues to happen now where, Democrat, Republican president, it doesn't matter. There's just continuously these shutdowns now. I think it calmed down for a little bit. But in what world would you want to travel in this? Isha and I, we're both on Pat and Matt leave right now. And we were talking about, okay, you know what? I think we kind of got the swing of things. I think we kind of got the swing of this kid thing. Maybe now we test it to the next level, right? Because that's what being a parent is. You stay in the house. Then you say, you know what? We're going to go to the grocery store. Then you say, oops, that was a mistake. We're just going to Instacart that shit. Then you go to a restaurant. Then you say, shit, you know what? We should have brought a bottle. Then you do it again with the bottle, and then you say, oh, this is smooth. Okay, we figured this out. Now we go to friends' houses. Oh, now we figured this out. Now we're doing the road trip. Okay, here we go. Now we're moving. What's the next level? You got to get on the plane. And it's so crazy to me. Now we're just ranting at this point. It's so crazy to me that airport travel has become what it is, with the amount of scare, the scary airport stuff that's happening, in addition to how common it's becoming. For example, this LaGuardia thing that happened, where you literally the air traffic controller thing is released, and it's like, hey, fire truck, stop. Hey, fire truck, stop. Ends up crashing. A plane ends up crashing into that fire truck. Both pilots died. On top of that, right? Remember, January is not that far away. It's only the end of March, which is kind of crazy, end of Q1. But January is not that far away. And you remember all the shit that was happening there? Huh? Whether it was a Southwest flight, whether it was a Delta flight, a United flight turning upside down, there was just shit happening. And yet I think we talked about this in a previous episode where it's like, I think we related it to shootings though. Like if a shooting happens at a certain bar, does that shooting affect the future attendance of that bar? Does it affect the future popularity of that bar? Will people continue to do their thing no matter what? Did COVID have that much of an impact? Where people said, you know what, I'm going to spend the least amount of time possible in this house forever. I and the wild piece to all of this is that, like I'm part of the generation and the generations under me, right? Gen Z, whatever the alpha is after that. I don't know, the I guess Z alpha, maybe betas after that. We all complain about how, nothing's affordable anymore, right? Ooh, I can't afford a car, so I got to lease it. Ooh, I can't afford a house, so I have to rent. I can't afford this, so I got to do this. You can finance anything now. We're the generation that complains about, oh, these boomers made everything so expensive. But boy, let me tell you, we've seen the whole world. We've been to Spain, Madrid, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, India, Russia, Australia. We've been everywhere. We've been everywhere. I want you to ask your parents, where have they been? Where have they been in this world? I'm telling you, it's probably not that many places as you. Probably not that many places as you, but you know what? They own their house. They own their house. You renting a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment thinking, you know what? I think renting's a joke. Or sorry, I think buying is a joke. Because then you gotta pay property taxes and this and that. And then the landlord comes. And then the landlord comes and says, hey, I'm kicking you out. And then you say, oh, I'm gonna write a bad review about this place. The home ownership is one of the greatest buy low, sell high things you can do in America. As long as you get a good deal, right? I got a good deal on my house. My wife didn't get a good deal. And it just happens like that, right? It's probably like a little coin toss, but you hope at the end of the day, it's just you see a steady incline. For my house, I got lucky. I wasn't even supposed to buy a house. My brother-in-law kind of pushed me off the ledge. Things worked out. For my wife's house, I'll say she bought it. We were still just boyfriend, girlfriend at the time. She bought it during that Austin peak. When everything, all signs were pointing to, you know what, Austin's coming back. I mean, sorry, not Austin's coming back. Austin's on the up and up. Austin will reach California level prices. And then now we're seeing the dip. Right now we're seeing the dip. But you hope over the span, right? Over the span of 5, 10, 15 years, 30 years, that house is going to appreciate more than you probably bought it for, right? Whether it's inflation, the price of the land. People don't want to keep living in Tomball, Texas, right? You say, oh, I'd live in Austin. And then you say, oh, where? And you say Pflugersville. And it's like, that's not Austin, brother. That's not Austin. You live in Round Rock. You're a couple exits before the Austin sign even shows up, bro. On the sign on the highway as you're going down 35 or up 35, you see, or I guess it has to be down 35, you see Round Rock, then you see Austin. People want to live in Austin. And this is what's happened now with houses everywhere, right? The price of a house normally keeps going up. Very rarely do you run into the case where it's like someone bought a house, like let's say your parents, right? Your parents probably bought a house 20, 30, 40 years ago. What's the price of that house now? My generation loves to complain about how nothing is affordable. But yeah, we've been to Spain. We've had a croissant looking at the Eiffel Tower. We've done some of this shit multiple times. We've taken up piano lessons. Oh, we start podcasts. Oh yeah, these Shure mics, they cost like $200, but it's really worth the investment. Oh, do you own your house? No, I'm currently renting. And look, I'm not saying renting is a bad thing, right? But you see the point that I'm trying to get at here is that travel has become this fucking drug, bro. Travel has become this drug that my generation is just addicted to. We can't get enough of it. Our kitchens look like they've been destroyed by some bullshit. Or we keep buying new builds, oh, we got to get into a new build. Your parents are probably working on the bathroom in the guest bedroom. The shit has shifted completely. They're not traveling, they're renovating the kitchen. We don't care about the kitchen. We want minimalism. We want the walls to be white. We want the counters to be white. We want the floor to be white. We want no decoration. We want no possible error in this house to happen. And look, I don't know. Is that the right way to go? Should you spend less on your house and more on traveling? Or should you spend more on your humble abode? And dial it back a little bit on the traveling. All my friends, all these motherfuckers, they got married. I had a friend that got married in Trinidad, bro. Trinidad. What in the goddamn world were we all doing over in Trinidad? I get it. He's from there. She's from there. That makes sense, right? He's not from there. He's from Guyana. But either way, he's from Houston. Honestly, if we're being real honest, what were we all doing there? There was no reason that me and a lot of his friends, right, that we all met in college, are spending $500, $2,000, $3,000 to take a trip to Trinidad to, stay in a hotel, hang out for a couple days, buy the outfits, be checking the bags because, hey, these langas don't fit in anything. In Trinidad, bro, ask your parents for the friends that they had. I'm not saying they didn't have cultural friends, right? But like, let's say they had a friend from Sri Lanka, huh? And they had a wedding there. You know what? They had the wedding there. Then they came back over here and they had another wedding. They had another wedding because you know what? They didn't pay for a wedding over there for 300 people. They paid for a wedding over there for 30 people. Then they came over here and said, you know what? We're going to save all you guys $3,000 and we're going to host a wedding in Houston, Texas. And that's the wedding you go to. Or they make it a little bit local, right? I might have to drive 3 or 4 hours. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the Trinidad wedding, right? I'm not trying to come off as this massively negative person. But the point I'm trying to get at is it's pretty wild how shit has shifted now. I've had family members get married in India. I didn't go. Sometimes they people knock out the Indian ceremony over there because it's like, oh, there's a bunch of family that can get visas, this and that. They don't have the 100K for the H1. Obviously, the visa process is a beast in its own. So they do a little thing over there. Then they come over here and then do the thing here. Nowadays, people ask us to go to both. Hey, bro, I'm getting married over there and then I'm getting married over here. Can you make it to both? Huh? I'm renting this place. I have to ask a landlord for when I want to upgrade a drawer because it keeps falling out of the weak hinges. But you want me to spend money on this flight? This hotel, like, yo, we are the spending generation, bro. Like the consumerism has us foaming at the mouth nowadays. It's insane. And look, I am saying I am as guilty as everyone else. The only thing that has got me to sit my ass at home is having a child. Truly, the only thing that has gotten me to just park it for a little bit is having a child. And now you start seeing the conversation slowly come through the cracks. It starts finding its way out where it starts, hey, we should do this. Hey, no friend hangout ever just ends with goodbye. It's always like, yeah, we should go to Colorado sometime. Yeah, I heard the weather in India is pretty good in March. It's like, bro, what? We can just say goodbye sometimes. We don't have to make these plans to always travel the world together. I just want to go home. The drawer is not hanging in the correct the wheel tracks. I have to text the landlord. The fridge is broken. I literally don't have water coming out of the fridge or ice. I have to text the landlord because I didn't buy a place. Because because I've been spending like $5-10 on weddings over the past 5 years. Look, ask your parents where their friends got married, bro. And I'm not saying like, oh, they didn't get, well, all their friends were local. We have to explore the world. We got to see more things. No, you don't. I get it. Yes, you should see as much as you can while you're living. You should do as much as you want. But the point I'm trying to make here is just look at just like there is a global, like we are, teetering war right now. We are teetering war right now. Bombs going down. And I'm not saying we have any impact on that. I'm not saying if we don't travel, that's going to stop, right? But there's just a thing in our head where we just got to get out. We just have to go to the next thing. My parents' friends, all the weddings that I remember going to growing up were in Houston and Dallas. Houston and Dallas. And we drove there as a whole family. We had one uncle. And honestly, it was like a second uncle. Now we don't even see that guy. I don't think he knows that I had a kid. He got married in Charlotte, North Carolina. Did we fly there? Hell no. We drove that motherfucker. We drove. I was in the back in that minivan, laying down, but probably as some 8-year-old sitting there for 13-something hours, and then we finally got to the wedding. Now, bro, everyone's just flying. It's this, it's the same thing as that quick satisfaction. I know some families that still drive here and there for weddings, and look, it might be just a money thing, where we've gotten a little too bougie. We've gotten a little too. We've started to like the finer things a bit. Oh, we can't sit in a car for 4 hours. We have to get on a plane for 45 minutes. My grandma just left Houston this morning, and she asked, should I fly or should I take the bus? I said, brother, I will not deal with taking you to the airport in today's like just how things are right now. The bus is a cheaper option, and honestly, at this point, it's a faster option. We've run out of patience. This generation, we're just sick. We're sick. We become consultants, and just so we can just keep traveling. We can keep traveling and keep buying the venti iced coffees on the company dime. Oh yeah, extra foam. Oh yeah, this one has 4 shots of espresso. Like, bro, you getting fat. You're putting on weight that your arm shouldn't be that thick just naturally. Like I get it. You're working out. Oh, you're punching the bag, but you're having a quadruple venti from Starbucks 4 times a day on the company dime. You should stop that. You should stop getting on the plane and wanting to travel to all these places and go to people's work and say, hey, you know what? I'm a consultant for Deloitte. Yeah, I'm here to fix things. I'm here to see what data tables are not lining up with the infrastructure on the back end. So then when we build the semantic layers on the AI bot, we can load that into the Power BI dashboards and automate that. So then we can give it to our stakeholders and they can make actionable results. You see what I'm saying? It's all bullshit, bro. All these people flying for consultant, all that lifestyle, it's a scam. I am so shocked that we haven't kind of exposed consulting for the scam that it is yet. But coming back to the airport shit, bro, go home. Take your ass home, bro. It's okay. It's okay. You can go home and buy a house. You can go home and buy a house. You don't need to go to Trinidad. I keep saying Trinidad. I'm really not trying to shit on them that much, but when I'm talking this fast, I just can't think of anything else. Thailand, huh? You don't need to go to Thailand. You don't need to go to Thailand. You have some tiles missing in your bathroom. Anyways, this airport travel shit's insane, bro. And now they got these ICE workers in there, but they seem like the cool ICE workers, like they really got the PR team behind the whole ICE, and they were like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should take off the masks and stop beating people up. Huh? We should hand out water bottles. That really disarms people. Defund ICE. I don't know, bro. I have no opinion on that shit anymore. And look, I was going to come on here and talk about Iran. I missed last week. Welcome to the Ajay Patel Show. My name's Ajay Patel. Welcome to episode 96? 97? Goddamn, I think this is 96. Yes. Holy shit, we scratching. We almost there. I'm here to say I'm changing this shit back to weekly, bro. What's the point of doing this shit every other week? You don't actually spend that much time with the kid, honestly. She's sleeping most of the time. And when she's not sleeping, she's feeding on mom. She's feeding on mom. I have time to do this shit weekly. So I'm bringing this shit back weekly. Y'all can hold me accountable to that. And also, we got to keep this thing relevant to some extent. To people that are listening, I appreciate you. I really do appreciate you, because we got to come hard at this shit. I've had a lot of life realizations, 30 really just gets you reflecting like that. And it really gets you thinking about Iran and how much you just don't want to talk about it. So instead, You talk about drinking and driving to the youth. You talk about drinking and driving, and you start by saying, don't drink and drive. Can you see my reflection on the sunglasses? All right, fuck it, even if you can. Don't drink and drive. You should not consume alcoholic beverages or be under the influence and drive a motor vehicle. Now, let me also add that you eventually will. You eventually will. The Uber might be too far. You might have drove, quite a distance, and now you're like, you know what? I didn't mean to have this many beers. I didn't think that round of shots was coming out. I did just get off of work. And someone did order a couple rounds. I thought we were saying goodbye to Jeff. I ended up taking 5 shots. I just came here so I could be, a decent coworker. I didn't know people would be buying all these beers and I'd be doing some illegal drug in the bathroom. Oh, how do I get home now? My message is drinking and driving is bad, but you will end up doing it. And you shouldn't. Take it from someone that I learned the kind of hard way. It wasn't as hard as it could be, but it was a kind of hard way. Like when you get a candy from a gas station and you're like, this wasn't great. But you're like, oh, this could have been worse, right? I could have started throwing up. It's like that. It's like that bad. I've had that kind of a bad situation. If you want to hear a story, you got to come to a set. I'm not sharing it on here for free. You will find yourself doing this shit. And I have no tip. I was going to, do a whole bit about like, well, these are my 3 tips on. No tips, because it's wrong. You shouldn't do it. You will end up doing it. And it used to be very common. It is very common still. Like, hold on, Pop. Like, put a very big exclamation mark on that. It is very common still. You think all these people going to these happy hours or at Little Woodrow's watching the NCAA March Madness shit, male or female, it doesn't matter. People are out there drinking, bro. NBA playoffs, baseball's back. Super Bowl. Obviously, people talk about how, on New Year's Eve you should avoid being on the road because people are drinking and driving, bro. People are drinking and driving. And look, the important thing is don't kill anyone. If you end up a little bit under the influence, fall back the other way. Maybe just go under. Okay, yeah, sorry, no tips. But like I think all my uncles have a DUI. When you have Indian uncles, a DUI is like white men that went into the army. White uncles that went to that served in Afghanistan. They got a badge of honor like that. Indian uncles, they got that DUI. They got that DUI on one chest and the tattooed on the other chest. That's just their thing, bro. And yes, it seeped into our generation a bit. Obviously we're the generation that thought, oh yeah, we're invincible, bro. Just like any other generation. All generations are honestly the same at the end of the day. We thought we were invincible. Taxis kind of came around a little bit. Taxis weren't really part of our vernacular. The Uber and Lyft system came, a little bit later in college. And then at the same time, it's not available everywhere yet. Then you're going out more, you're drinking more. The generations under me, I think they'll be way better. Because they don't drink any. They don't drink, right? They do shrooms. They microdose. Ooh. And cocaine, right? And when you do those things, you don't want to hit the road. That's terrifying. The issue with drinking and driving is that you can possibly do it. No one ever talks about doing lines and driving because you don't do it. And it probably doesn't affect the driving that much, honestly. Your heart might be racing in the passenger seat, but it's not a downer. You're not like, oh God, I really hate myself. It's a little bit different than the drinking game. Why do I want to talk about this? Oh, Tiger Woods. Oh yeah. My man Tiger Woods, ladies and gentlemen, I got to present to you probably the greatest golfer of all time. Tiger Woods is part of a legendary cloth that, very few athletes are a part of. Maybe someone like Michael Phelps, LeBron, if you're a Jordan fan. You can put Kobe on that cloth. Who else would you put on there? Mayweather, who did I say? Nadal. There's this sports cloth, that only a few people get to put their name on. Tom Brady. Tiger Woods is a name on there. And there are very few people that care about golf like that. I understand people like golf. And I can see how it's becoming more and more popular at the, when you get to my age, when you get to your 30s, you start liking golf a little bit more. Because you play a game of basketball and you twist your body a little too much and then your back's out of place for 5 weeks. Or you land on your ankle and your ankle says, hey, yo, 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 where did all this weight come from? It must be from the venti Starbucks. And then you snap your ankle in half and you're out of commission. You can't be out of commission when you have kids. You got to walk around. You pick up pickleball. A little bit and you say, oh, you know what? I really don't have this. This isn't that fun. We should go golf. Golf is not that competent. It's not that popular. But this man, Tiger Woods, made it a thing. He made golf so cool to all my generation, generations before me, after, it doesn't matter. The issue is he just keeps drinking. He just keeps getting these DUIs. Golf superstar Tiger Woods was arrested and charged with driving under the influence Friday afternoon after he was involved in a rollover crash, Florida authorities say. The crash happened shortly before 2 p.m. in Juniper Island, the Martin County Sheriff said. There were no injuries on the crash, which also involved a truck pulling a trailer. The driver of the truck told officials he was starting to turn into a driveway. When the truck tried to get off the road, yada, yada, his Range Rover flipped over. Okay, look. Is it wrong? Yes. As long as Tiger Woods is not killing anyone, he's not taking advantage of women without consent. He's not transporting children here and there. Tiger Woods is good in our book. Tiger Woods is good in our book. You can do that as much as you want. You can go to jail as many times as possible for drinking and driving and whooping someone's ass, as long as you don't kill anyone. As long as you don't kill anyone, you're in our good graces, bro. Now, Tiger Woods, man, look, they did the breathalyzer on him apparently, and it just blew zeros. But all these injuries that I think that he's sustained over the years and how it's put obviously a dent in his career. I think that's where the drug problem happens. I saw this interesting thing on Michael Jackson doing this Pepsi commercial, and he ended up like catching on fire, and that's where he was kind of initially prescribed some pain meds. It was probably some harder pain meds, and then you do those, and you realize, oh shit, like Tylenol and Advil don't do a fucking thing. Right? You try the harder drugs are probably more than likely to get you hooked. And then you do those drugs. And then I don't think you ever come back to reality. I thought it was pretty wild how, when I was picking up my wife's pregnancy post-op meds, they give you a bag, like this dissolvable bag and liquid that, hey, if you don't use all these oxycodons, like, you should dispose of them like this. Don't even keep them in the house. Because you'll end up like the latter half Michael Jackson. Right? He was probably still there mentally, but there's something in you where you just get addicted to this pill. It takes you on this little vacation. Same thing with Tiger Woods, right? After a surgery, they prescribe you everything you need. And now let's say you run out of the prescription. You're Tiger Woods, bro. You're Michael Jackson. You can get this shit. Obviously, I'm not like trying to beat on the whole like, oh, we should regulate drugs. But like, it's just wild to me that this is kind of how it ends up happening. You have an injury that you literally get drugs for you get legal drugs at the time. When you're prescribed the drug, it's legal. When you start abusing the limits and the instructions, yeah, it becomes like, hey, this is frowned upon. But you didn't acquire the drugs illegally. You have them. Now you build the addiction. Is that, whose fault is that? Is that your fault? I don't know. Yeah, I guess. But this is Tiger Woods, bro. He has a wife. I don't know if he has any kids. Oh yeah, he has kids. And he'll never get to just kind of just, hey man, I just want to play some golf. Because my man, he's got addicted somewhere on the road. He got addicted somewhere on the road trying to come back to great, and maybe not, right? Maybe I'm lying, and he is just Hey man, this dude's just a menace to the world. We shouldn't get him. Like Justin Timberlake. We saw what my man was doing over there. He was just drinking and driving, having a good time. It's like, why are you even driving, bro? But I do get it. I get it. Justin Timberlake, Tiger Woods, they're getting DUIs. You think you're not going to get one? You think you're not going to end up behind a wheel? Those guys can pay for drivers. They can literally pay someone to drive them in their car, go home, and then just buy the person. Them two can do that. You think you're not going to end up behind a wheel? It blows my mind. It blows my mind. Oh, all right. I feel like take the glasses off. I feel like I ranted at y'all. Gave y'all the irony. Obviously, it's all jokes. This is all jokes. We're having a good time. We're coming back weekly, episode 96. I want to talk about death. What a segue, right? And I'm going to make this like 5 minutes so we can kind of bring it to a close here. But it has been quite a march as we talk about the end of this Q1 happening. And I'm not going on a soapbox here. I just love exploring some of these things that just I think about, and I'm like, oh, that's an interesting concept. How did that get to this? Or you see the change of how you think now versus how you thought maybe 5 or 10 years ago. And we recently had a death in the family. It was my grandma's brother. I grew up with this guy, a lot of fond memories, and he got a cancer diagnosis probably a couple of years ago. And then as of a couple weeks ago, he was in the ICU with an infection in his lungs. Now, after this happened, it hits the airwaves. Obviously, one aunt or cousin communicates with the other one, or grandma, whatever. And my mom asked me to go, right? My mom says, hey, you need to go visit him. And of course, right? You drop what you're doing and you say, all right, you know what? I'm going to make this happen. I'm not great about leaving the house for prolonged periods of time right now with new fatherhood. But, obviously wife is fully capable. So I need to go do this. This matters. And I get to the hospital and he's on this like ventilator of sort, but he's not intubated. So he's on this kind of like mouthpiece breather. And it's rough, right? After you get to 30, you've seen one elderly person in your life kind of like teetering at the doorstep, I like to call it. Now, I've seen a couple family members like this. My grandpa on my dad's side, he was gone, right? After he fell, and you're not walking and you're not moving, then you kind of stop eating. And then you mentally kind of clock out of there. And it sucks to see that person at that point in life. When I got to the hospital this time around a couple weeks ago, it was so strange because like they would lower his sedation here and there, and you'd see that he's behind those eyes, right? Like if you say something or if you mention something or you hold his hand or you put your hand on his chest, he's clocking you. He's moving his hands. He's smiling. Like he's not smiling, but he's emoting that you can see. Oh, this person is still behind there. He cannot communicate with me, but he can hear me. He's mentally ingesting what I'm saying. And I get really weird. I get really uncomfortable with like something that you feel is almost this like forced, and maybe not forced, but like forced / imposed emotion over the room. And a lot of times it happens with death, where it's like someone dies in the family, all these people come over and they sit there and you have to be somber. You don't dare crack a joke. You don't dare talk. You don't dare smile. Like you're supposed to show up and you're supposed to sit there because it shows togetherness. And for me, I personally hate that. I get very uncomfortable in those situations where I smile. I'm not like trying to disrespect the person that passed away or anything like that, but I know like this is weird, bro. Like this is a very sad thing, and we should find a moment to cry together, and maybe it'll be multiple moments along the road, after the road, all that stuff. I'm not saying you should just move on. Why do you need to be sad? But like this force field of sad, of like, you better not fucking touch this thing right now. And so I'm sitting there and everyone's in the room just staring at my technically he would be my grandpa, right? Well, like whatever, second grandpa, whatever it is. And all I want to do is just talk to him. Just talk to him like a normal person. I don't want to say things like, hey, you're going to be okay. You got this and that. I just want to say, hey, man, like, it's wild out there. These people don't stop traveling. I think we might keep bombing these other countries. You just want to talk to this person because hey, man, like more than likely that this, we have read this script before. Obviously, if a friend is recovering, this and that, you're like, oh yeah, you know what, you got this, you're good. I don't need to start saying goodbyes and stuff like that. And maybe I was a pessimist in this position to think like, okay, you know what, this is probably like the last couple times I'll interact with this person. But I'd start telling stories. He wasn't able to make it to my wedding. I told him a little bit about that. He never got to meet my kids, so I told him a little bit about that. I showed him a picture. You see him react, and then at the end, I just say, hey, you know what? I would like to just say thank you. Thank you. I don't want to sit here and be all sad with you right now. I just want to sit here and just say, you know what? Thank you for everything you did, bro. I don't know who beefed with who in the family. I was probably 12 years old. I don't know if I disrespected you somehow. I don't know how rude I was. But at this point where I'm at right now, when I look back at the memories, I think, oh, that was pretty positive. That was pretty positive to me, to a lot of my family members. You start seeing pictures and you say, oh, he did make it to my sister's wedding. Oh, we did do Raksha Bandhan that year with him and my grandma. And you say, oh, you know what? Hey, you know what? All these memories collectively, I just appreciate that we got to be part of this together. That I got to be part of your life for a little bit, and vice versa. You got to impact mine. And then the funeral comes along, and at first, going back to the hospital piece, it does feel weird, right? Where it's like you're kind of being a little jokey. You're kind of being a little jokey, but it's like this is how I want to be with this person. I'm not trying to disrespect anything. I'm not burying anything. I'm not hiding anything. But this is how I want to be. And then that kind of carries over into like, the next day, you're still asking, like, you're making little cracks here and there. You're still helpful, right? You're not like hurting the situation at all. You're not disrespecting anyone's feelings. You're just expressing a different emotion. 7 minutes already. All right. And then the death part, the death part comes, and the funeral comes, and then you start seeing like, oh shit, like I remember when some of these other siblings passed away and what the reaction was. And it was very sad. And, people were crying around the house, and you'd console one another, and then you're crying a ton. And then you kind of just keep on crying until a couple days it ends up just kind of, all right, you start thinking about it a little bit less, then you get back to normal, like, your usual life where you're going to school, you're going to your extracurricular activities, maybe you're going to work. And then you're kind of you don't think about it from a day to day. With this, at being like 30, right? Being 30, having a job, having a kid, having a wife, having like a life that you have to, at the end of the day, tend to. You have responsibilities. Though that period becomes a little bit shorter. In addition to when the person is a little bit older, it kind of just that period once again just becomes shorter. And I was trying to figure out when like sensitivity eventually dissolves out. Because, you do feel where it's like my grandma just lost her brother. And you feel like, oh, damn, that's insane. I couldn't imagine that happening to me. I would be devastated. But at the same time, you kind of look at them and you're like, hey, man, I'm really sorry, but I don't really know how to support you like that. And I need you to hurry up and get in the car and grab your shoes because we have to go. I have shit to do. I don't want to wait here and have you mourn this long. Like, and look, I understand it's a little disrespectful, but I'm just being real here. Where at what point does the sensitivity is it 60? Is it 70? Is it 80? I don't know. I would hope not. If someone makes it to 110 and they die, people are going to be like, yeah, I was surprised it lasted this long. Like that's kind of a wild thought. I'm talking a lot, bro. That's what I'm saying. I gotta do this weekly. Um, all coming back. I just wanted to just talk about it. Just talk about it out loud and just express these thoughts that were happening in my head. Obviously, I'm not the only person that deals with death, right? I've been lucky to think I haven't seen that much, but I think I've seen a decent amount. I don't like to go through the list. It's a little weird when I do that. But you think about it and you start thinking, God damn, bro, I'm like this. And how are my parents feeling? How are my parents feeling? They're getting to an age, they're getting to the maybe a little bit later 60s. And they're going to funerals a lot more than they're going to these weddings. They're going to a lot of funerals for people that they knew. I get it. If you go to someone in the community, maybe someone in the community had a sibling pass away, you're going to show support, you do that thing. But these are the people that you knew. These are people that you had pictures with. And so these emotions happening, and it's just like, God damn, bro. Enjoy your 20s, bro. Enjoy when you are like, that's why I'm saying, bro, just have fun. Have fun while you can. You're going to end up drinking and driving. You shouldn't do it. You should not do it. You should not drink and drive. You're going to end up doing it. And you know what? Hopefully it was a fun night, whether you end up in jail or not. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been me. I'll see you guys next week, and goodbye.